to turn this simple shape into this. Follow along for this tutorial on how we make a poppy. Deleted the cube already, so I'm just going to add in a mesh, and the mesh is going to be a circle. So let's back off from the circle. Now the circle is a bit too complicated, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this into 10. So which makes the circle a lot less complicated, and we'll shrink this back down because we don't need it. And press the tab key, takes us into edit mode. A will select all or deselect. Once they're all selected, E and S, just to scale this right down, nice and small. Oops, just to about there. And then what we're going to do is go into line select, and I'm going to select that and just put 2 loop cuts in, and then press the right mouse button just to actually fix it. And this center point here, I want this to be nice and small and selected. So what we're going to do is go into point select and right click, and we're going to merge these vertices at center, just like that. So going back into line select, in fact, should we add a texture straight away just to actually see what it's going to actually look like? So I'm just going to add in a texture to this poppy. So let's just go into rendered mode. So new image texture. This image texture can be found in the link below, and on it if you wish to download it. So just go into the flower, and I'm just going to select a simple poppy texture. In fact, I did I photograph it? May have photographed it because I'm always photographing things. It's just something that's on my computer, and yeah, there you go. So we've got that, and what we can do now is we can actually just press the A key, press the U key, and then project from view. And as you can see, the poppy's there, but it doesn't look much like a poppy. I put a white dot in the center just to make it easier to see. And what we'll do now is we'll just centralize this texture by going to UV editing, and we'll put that point right in the center there. So let's just scale this up. So make sure you're in edit mode, and A to select all. And we can scale this up just like that, and I'm just going to G just to move that into the center of my white point. So if we go back into layout and render mode, as you can see, we've got that kind of shape. Pressing the tab key goes into edit mode, and we're going to go on to line select. So select this line, press the alt key down and select it. And then every second one, do the same, just like this. So we've got them 5 lines selected, and what we can do now is we can do an edge split. Right, to do an edge split, you need to be in line select, right click, and then edge split. What that enables us now to do is go into the spanner or the wrench and add in subdivision surface modifier, because we've split those edges. Subdivision surface, and as you can see, we've got that simple shape, and I'm just going to hit it twice and then apply it. So we've got the poppy shapes, and what we can do now is we can add in an array modifier, but first we're going to actually make a empty. So add an empty, and this is going to be the axis empty, so I'm going to put plain axis, and I'm just going to call it AXE, and I'm going to do 0.8 on the scale there, 0.8 and 0.8, like that. So what's going to happen is that star is going to get smaller and smaller, and what we'll do is go into the spanner wrench, add a legacy array, so A to select array, and then legacy array, switch that one off, and as you can see, it's gone a bit darker because what we're going to do is use constraints offset and take that down to 0, and we're going to take this up to 0.202 or something like that. And as you can see, this gets bigger and bigger, but you've got lots and lots of layers there, and I'm just going to take that up to 10 just to keep the actual flower quite simple. And then we're going to use the object offset, so open object offset, and we'll select the axis, which of course was our empty. Now as you can see, all the actual petals are lined up, so if we go back into the axis, what we can do is actually do this kind of spiral effect. That's 45 degrees look like. So I've put 45 degrees in there, and that's about it. So next what we'll do is we're going to actually go back into the array modifier on this, and we'll take it back to 1 because I want to actually change some particular things in this mesh. So just select these points here all the way round by holding the shift key down like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually assign this group's data. So go into this upside down triangle, and then what we can do is we can actually, if it's not open vertex group and put plus, and we're going to actually use a should we call it anchor? So ANK, because I like 3-letter names. Right, so I'm just calling that ank. And what we can do now is actually assign those edges to the ank by pressing the assign key. And then come back out of there, go back into the modifier, and I'm just going to actually increase this back to 10. Like that. And then go into the physics properties. What we're going to do is add a cloth, and as you can see, what happens, it just falls away. So what we need to do now is we need to anchor that somewhere. So what we do is use the shape keys, and the pin group is going to be the anchor, and open collision after that, and do self collision. So let's just have a look at this. As you can see, everything falls down. Shade smooth, but it doesn't look very real. I suppose it could look something like a plant, but what we can do now is actually go down here into field weights, and we can turn gravity upside down. So I'm putting that gravity to -1, take it back to the beginning, and what should happen now is the actual gravity realigns itself, and you end up with a flower or a poppy, depending on what you want to actually make. Now there's different materials you can use on the actual cloth modifier as well, and I'll just quickly go over these. So you got your cloth there, but right at the top here you've got cotton, denim, leather, rubber, silk. So if you actually go on to say rubber, because it just changes the way it behaves. Let's back off and just make it. And then just to make this a little bit more realistic, what I'll do is we'll add in a subdivision surface modifier again. So slow your computer down, but it just makes the actual edges a lot smoother, just like that. That's it. I needed to do the cat mole to actually just show it on the screen. So let's just take this down now. Just one extra one, and it's still quite smooth, and it shouldn't slow your computer down too much, although it is mine. And quite easily and simply you've got a flower, and you see it's closing quite quickly, and different materials do different things. And if we add in a solidify modifier to this as well, so add in S to solidify, what you can do is add some thickness to your petals like that. I know these are quite thick petals, but just adds that little bit more realism. And you can put rim only if you wish, which actually makes the this the like the a similar curly effect at the edges. It's entirely up to you. I quite like the rim only effect because it looks quite good on flowers. You know, it's just rolling the actual edge round back into its material. What you can do is decide how shiny it is. You can add an HDRI, environmental texture. Most of these are found on Polyhaven, and we'll just go for Misty Pines. And I'm just going to switch off the film just to make it transparent. There we are. Under film, if it's not open, you can put transparent, and you can actually adjust how bright the transparency is. We can also go back into the actual colour, and we can make the alpha, so we can make the actual item completely transparent, or we can actually make it, especially if it's a poppy, the poppy petals are really thin, so they actually end up showing through each other. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to change that up. The OR value is how see-through or how much distortion it does. I'll just keep that down at 1. The roughness determines the actual shininess. So if you want to make a glass rose, you can do. In the actual physics here, under the cloth modifier, you've got different ones. So if I change that one now to silk, it'll change the look of the flower completely. The other thing you can do is you can add objects to wrap other objects around. So if we add in a mesh, add a mesh, and we'll add a UV sphere, scale it down, whoops, press the S key to scale it down, G to move it up, so it's above our flower. I'm just going to G and Z, scale it down a bit more, Control and A, rotation and scale. And what we can do now is everything's going to go up towards this sphere and then wrap itself around it once we add the physics to this, which is a collision. And then all you need to do is simply, you can actually wrap this around any shape you wish. And what we can do is we can actually just hide the sphere in the viewport, hide it in the, in fact, did I do Control and A, rotation and scale, hide all these, and it'll still wrap around the sphere, just like that. So it'll stop the actual flower from closing as much, especially in the centre. I suppose that could be a rose. Just press the spacebar key to stop the animation. And just make the actual thing reappear. I wonder if I make it, so let's just select that, scale it in the Z to make it like a flat disc. Scale it nice and big. Press Alt and scale. Move it down so it's just above. Hide it in the viewports. Make sure that your rotation and scale is applied, because it doesn't actually change the shape if you don't do that. And then let's just play that. That's looking quite good. As you can see, it's just wrapping itself around that sphere. Now I've got this set to 250, but as you can see, it's more or less finished at frame 33. And all you decide is what looks best for what you need. I wonder if I put a square in there, what will that do? Let's just add in a square object. Mesh, cube, scale, rotation, scale, and let's just hide that cube. Yeah, I suppose you could see something cubal here about that, but I quite like that actually. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This is when you've got your flower in the place where you like it, what you can do is you can actually apply all modifiers like this. So go into the modifier tab and we can apply all modifiers. Apply, 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 and apply, which obviously will lock the animation, and you've got yourself a simple flower. Now you've got yourself a simple flower, but it's relatively low poly, but there's a lot of things happening here. So what we can do is actually go into face select, right click, unsubdivide. So you can make this unsubdivide a simpler model for a game engine if you wish. This is another way of making a low poly flower for a game engine. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was a quick one. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Leave a comment and bye for now.